Dread and I are learning right along with you guys at home about HGC, Heroes 2.0. Today I learned that you can't tunneling claws underneath Entomb. Saddest Dahaka I've ever seen. Like, please, 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 please go down. And then
we learned that apparently Guardians of the Ancient King cannot be affected by Variant's Taunt. Even though we were talking about Brightwing's Polymorph can be kind of coded funny and proc some weird things, apparently Variant's Taunt cannot. So
there was still Malfurion, there were Roots, there was Twilight Dream.
There's still a lot of reasons. It's actually really cool. The level 7 is not like the standard. It hits like a certain weird amount of AoE CC to where that talent becomes more worth than cleanse, but not in all cases. It's really awesome where it's like single target burst to a certain amount. It will be better to go for that because the 75 armor is worth more. But then rare cases where it's split single target CCs, cleanse is better, and then a massive AoE CCs, suddenly the 75 armor gets better.
Yeah, what is amazing to me is that we're seeing something besides cleanse be viable when cleanse is still there and available for Uther. I love seeing the decision making between that. And thank you for you guys at home letting us know about these things. You let us know through Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, we want to read some of the tweets that you guys have been sending out using the hashtag HGC. I love seeing Mike Yuldan burn his enemies in Fellfire. At Michael Udall, hashtag HGC. He was one of the first NA players to fully embrace the Fellflame build.
Yeah, he was very much one of the first, and I today learned how convenient Mike Udall's name fits into the Gul'dan at the end there. The Mike Udan, I kind of like that.
Oh, I butchered it, but you got it.
It's pretty.
Mike Udan.
It's pretty sweet. Way more convenient than I thought it was. The fact that I haven't come up with that is a bit embarrassing, but thank you very much once again for the tweet using the hashtag HGC. Game 3 going to Towers of Doom thanks to Gale Force eSports.
Really? This is one of the worst battlegrounds for B-Step traditionally, historically in the past. They do not have a great record on it.
How dare you use stats to try and objectively evaluate the skill level of a team?
I'll try to do less of that in the future.
It's all about the feels. How dare you use science? Get out of here with that. Anyways, Towers of Doom is not very good.
Science states that maybe we could again see Greymane and Abathur too, if that's not taken away by B-Step. I
want a Zagara. I feel like this is the moment we get it. This is the game. She's been brewing behind the scenes.
We have had a
we're gonna get it right here on Towers. I'm pretty confident we're gonna see it.
Do you want Zagara more, or do you want Tyrael, Greymane, Abathur, Uther? I'm loving it.
That's what I always want. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always down for the hyphy. Any Tyrael absurdly aggressive composition, I'm always down to watch because it takes so much communication, coordination, and skill, and it's so pretty whenever it works properly. I'll always take those compositions. But a Zagara would be pretty neat here too. I think this is the reason I want the Zagara is because she's becoming obviously more popular around the world. And we've accepted her to be a thing, but this is one of the few maps where we're yet to see her, but she should, according to her strengths, have some value, right? Like she's yet to kind of come to fruition, and that's why I'm like, this is it. This is the Towers game where Zagara makes her way with Nidus Network.
Yeah, she can control the bell towers, but is that worth giving up some of the team fighting you give up with her?
I mean, well, so then it comes down to the argument of like, well, if all the globals, because we have a lot of teams panic pick globals in certain situations to be able to match your opponents because you know you're going to be losing out on. So I feel like she feels that, right? Whenever we see those, we have to have a global, that's where she kind of backdrops into that second slot. For bans is going to be the Ariel. Still Ariel.
A new Barak to follow for Gale Force.
We get the whole meta now. We can go home. Sign it up. 2.0 is done.
Series and he
Ariel
feels like
and a new Ariel and a new for the bans. We got it figured out.
I don't want to go home. I want to cast more games.
Music like this. I should come in here and rollerblade sometime and just get it jamming.
You're just going back and forth behind the desk. You would fall right off the stage.
Yeah.
Those of you guys at home, our desk is on top of maybe a foot riser. He would go down so fast.
Yeah.
That would not be a good one. Not a good look here.
What is Dahaka would be the norm, I think, for B-Step here, but given the last two games.
Yeah, the Dahaka, he's not been looking too good. But that is not the hero, it's just the playstyle. You know, he didn't
see too big of a drop-off for any reason I can think of.
And Falstad has not always been the easiest. All right, so they're going to stick with their Dahaka.
Greymane Abathur. Let's go, Gale Force. Don't stop.
The fastest. 2 seconds in, 2 picks.
We got him. So now B-Step goes, do we pick the Tyrael or do we ban the Tyrael? Because we are not dealing with that again. There's a reason why this comp is so good. It just was really well thought of. It has the dive, it's got the burst, it's got the cross-supporting, it's got the soaking, and it's got the delay, and all of that hinges on Tyrael. Cannot let them have it if they're afraid of that composition.
But Dread, Illidan was also a part of Gale Force's game. Can B-Step stop all of that?
Yeah, you can. It's going to be hard, but that means that's what it takes to be, you know, be able to compete. You're against the second best team. You got to take one of the problems. You can't take both away. You got to be
Tyrael, ban Illidan.
You either take. I personally ban the Tyrael or I take it. Yeah, and then you can do whatever you want the Illidan. The Illidan can be played around. The Tyrael can't. He just makes the composition. By banning a Tyrael, you change all of Gale Force's comp. You don't do that with Illidan. Gotta rustle the jimmies, you know? Get them all nice and stirred up.
Well, it's scientific method.
Yeah,
right? You take one thing away until you figure out what stops the composition. Unfortunately for B-Step, they are down to their last game in this series.
Yeah, that's
for experimentation.
Yeah, you don't have not enough time to, you know, run the test, figure out what's gone wrong.
If only these were best of 50s.
Yeah.
We'd get it figured out.
Imagine the sample size. We could truly gauge what is the best hero in the game based off win rate over the long run.
Data, so much data.
My goodness. If you guys have ever tried to look at Heroes of the Storm stats, you will quickly note, because at the rate at which patches come in, the sample size of an indie hero above 20 would be, even internationally, to have one patch with one hero for more than 20 games played would be ridiculous. It's very rare that we get that.
We had a few by the end of last week, but surprise, we're back to new ones.
Yep.
But we still have some ideas. We still have Murden's very strong. Greymane's still doing super well.
Good.
I don't know. What about Uther?
I mean, he is, right? But it just goes to show how, no matter how many games we have and how far out we go to try and truly find the answers of what is good and bad, we just flat can't, because the game changes way too quick. That's where the feel factor comes in a little bit.
Trust the old gut.
Yeah, trust the old gut. That was a very me way to put that. I just, you know what I mean? You nailed it.
Dread Dad-isms.
Yeah, Dread Dad-isms.
Does he have a word for gut, a special word?
He probably does. He really, I'll call him up tonight. I'll let you know what Dad Not says about the old gut. They ban out the Arthas over the Tyrael.
Arthas is another possible clone target.
Yes, he's another really scary in that composition. Just flat out period. The question is, are you more afraid of the double Arthas, the Arthas enabling the double Greymane, or are you more afraid of 3 seconds invulnerability? And they have given their answer. One, I personally just can't fall on that side. Tyrael, still the scariest hero in the video game. Not true. Zeratul, then Tyrael.
So does Gale Force eSports run the same comp as before, getting Tyrael and Brightwing? Do you feel like they need a different support other than that?
They don't need to pick the Brightwing. They still could if they want to just all-in Judgment kill somebody, because that was, the Brightwing is only pickable through the Judgment. You aren't going the Sanctification Tyrael route, right? So now you pick the Tyrael. You can pick the Brightwing if you want. I want to bank on it. And there's the Zag.
You get everything today. You get your cake and you get to eat it. You get Zag and Tyrael Abathur Greymane. Are you
That is
kidding
weird.
me?
That is weird. That was
Well, I don't know, because it's such a strong 4-man that you have. Having Tyrael to enable Greymane for a long time, you can poke safely, and whatever support they get here, if they are just able to continue to poke safely, then Zagara can put pressure for a very long time, joining the fight when she's needed. Or maybe she's just getting Devouring Maw. It's control from that. Options is what we have.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean Gale Force eSports.
I think the way I like the Zagara used the most, if you're not going to go Maw in an already global composition, is prepping the Abathur to be more effective, right? Like, obviously your lane presence is going to be greater than the Abathur, but it's more of when you get in your Nidus and you're noping out of lane, it's after demolishing a minion wave, and Abathur can suddenly, you know, help with his Locust, because the one difference between Abathur and every other global in the game is the fact that Abathur just doesn't one-shot a minion wave, right? Dahaka brings everything down to 10%, falls step post 7, looks at it, one-shots the back line, and auto-attacks the front line twice. And so that is what hurts him, but using Zagara as that enabler within that isolated lane really could help them out. And they move that direction, and they still pick up the Uther. I'm going to say, Gilly, Gale Force has a legendary composition. I was going to say an unbeatable, but that's not true. It definitely is beatable. Don't get me wrong, and they have to execute it properly, but they've got the cream of the crop for me when it comes to Heroes of the Storm compositions. They've got a little bit of everything. The Zagara is the only thing that I sit there and I go, I don't totally know if that was needed here, especially, you know, considering the map is a global map, but it's not a must into a deathball composition that GFE's picked. I can see why they went that direction, but every other part of it is just, it is the original deathball of, like you said, we're back to summer. It feels like the meta is so close to that. A couple of changes, but the rest is identical.
B-Step hoping that their Tychus and their Chromie, which are 2 picks that they have prioritized in previous patches, will be what stops that kind of death ball. They have Chromie, maybe Temporal Loop if Uther's not going to get Cleanse, but even from that, once they go back, they have follow-up stuns and roots still. They would have the same type of lots of armor. B-Step does have a lot going for them as we head into game number 3. We can talk about that at the beginning. But let's head into Towers of Doom, where Dread believes it will be Legend.
Dairy? I know that's from a popular TV show that I haven't watched.
You ruin every pop culture reference.
I know. What was it?
You did it right. You just didn't wait long enough.
Oh, really? Does he go a really long time?
Also, you go Dairy, not I'm Ron Burgundy.
Mine was like a big old question mark behind it. I was just like, dairy? Would you like a glass of milk? Would you like some dairy? I don't know.
Okay, so B-Step, McIntyre's Chromie just rocks for B-Step. He averages 4 kills per game when he's playing this Chromie, so he's hitting those skill shots. And B-Step is one of the top teams when looking at Part 2 Tychuses. He has a very good win rate for B-Step, where other teams have struggled with him in games, winning quite a lot of them. Yeah, 3 out of 3 games in Part 2. So it is comfort picks for them. It's a comfort composition for B-Step. The problem is it going to work in the new meta of 2.0?
Yeah, it's a big question to pose. And then it's more of like, does Gale Force's old school composition, which has only been buffed, not since that time, but in more recent patches, is it possible to be able to take it out? Because we've seen this comp over and over again. It just felt like as long as teams knew how to play it well, it always had a shot, because it just demolishes faces. I mean, I'd go as far to say I wouldn't mind me a Wizened Duelist, I think. Throwing with the drag, he's going down. Bug squashed, first kill here for B-Step. They show they still got signs of life. Took them game 3, but they've got it. The first lead of the series here. It's a small one, but it's a needed one.
You gotta maintain that. That is the key for B-Step here on Towers of Doom. It is Gale Force eSports, one of their favorite battlegrounds to pick. As far as Wizened Duelist, so far the build has been full cocktail with the Inner Beast change, not even picking Wolfheart anymore since you already get the cooldown reduction from that.
Yeah, that part's really interesting. The neglect onto the Wolfheart since the changes, that is the only real big difference. And even then, Wizened Duelist wasn't... I would say it's unfair to say it was the norm. It was very popular, but it just didn't seem like it was like the go-to. There was a lot of, it was, how can we really kill them? How squishy is their backline?
How much can we keep our Greymane alive?
Yeah, there was a lot of variables like that.
We should probably see go for the throat again in this game, don't you think?
Yeah, it should be a go for the throat. Anytime there's a Tyrael, I guess most of the time it's a Tyrael, should be go for the throat. Mikey Doll finishes off the channel, 4 shots. going over. 8 actually, including the top left channel.
bstep has not picked up this altar yet.
And Equinox is down here to get another delay.
Zagara and Greymane are still focusing on the top bell tower, though.
Is he going to go back? He's going to go back. Please do it. Please do it. Please do it. Please do it. No. Okay, so why I wanted to go back. When you get Heroic Reforging, at the last frame of a second you can go back. Your Q is almost immediately off cooldown again. So you can do a really cool thing where you just like that delay, you wait to the very last second, you walk away, and he's like, look, I'm zoning him. And then they create a gap so far between you and the channeler, you just teleport back, you get one more delay, and then you Q the opposite direction and be like, thanks, see you nerds, I'm out. It's just a really nice, cool thing you can do with that level 4 talent. And one I was really hoping we were going to get a moment of there.
Change in Abathur build here for Towers of Doom. Fully committing to the push build, not getting Adrenal Overload this time, so maybe that is more of an Illidan-focused talent to get versus having it for Greymane?
I mean, it's showing here that Gale Force, that's their thought process, yeah, that they view the Adrenal Overload. Makes sense. Illidan is very, very dependent on his auto attacks compared to Greymane. They both have a lot of damage there, but good drag. Only going to give one shot. APM is there. He's got the root. Doesn't land it. And it's going to allow Mikey Doll to get out. That root should have hit from APM. Not only was the target already slowed, but with the modern-day rework of Uther and having the Elun's Grace, he was in range to put a perfect circle of the dead center underneath him. And I just feel like we should expect more out of APM here. He's shown to be a rising support in the North American scene, and it didn't get him that kill, and only maybe more reason as to why we see bstep behind in the series.
And maybe the direction of juking was not what he was expecting, but I was laughing that Uther plus an Abathur hat could do so much damage to poor Chromie, but McIntyre did escape from that scary fate. Once again, Guardian of Ancient Kings versus getting Hand of Protection. Uther's cleanse at 7. We've got 2 altar phases spawning in a few seconds. bstep tied up in experience this time. They're not running far behind Gale Force eSports, but it's always that 8 to 9 spot in the last 2 games where that started to happen. So let's see if bstep can make the adjustments, change things up. They've already gotten their altar. They're trying to contest Gale Forces.
Crowan's going to start the channel. bstep, they get the interrupt there. Max range. Dragon thrown out by McIntyre, excuse me, on that Chromie. Gonna be delaying, but it doesn't really benefit bstep. They want to be as efficient as possible with the rotations. Abathur's still getting soak elsewhere.
But so is Dahaka. Dahaka's been rotating between lanes to keep that up. So they're still kept up. They just can't lose anybody at this point because that's when Gale Force eSports starts to snowball ahead.
We'll see if they can get this. Ooh, quarterback from iDream is enough to get one more delay. The only problem with the Dahaka side soaking is that Abathur's applying pressure to top and Dahaka can't side soak that. So eventually Abathur will actually outweigh the value of having Dahaka side soaking as long as he does it properly. Tyrael goes in, gets hit by a trap. Damage is thrown out. That's a McIntyre way out of position there, but the first kill going on to the Greymane, and that is a kill much needed here for bstep.
McIntyre's throwing out slowing sand, or Sand Blast. Dragon's Breath True trying to get Bronze Talons proc for damage. iDream's there. Sand Blast does not hit Akaface. He's been dodging this from McIntyre, but Max pushed him back enough. bstep's trying to get this altar. They have been delaying for forever, and they will get it.
The war of attrition has been won here for bstep. They kept up there for a while, and they are ahead in experience. The fact that they've got those 2 kills, they are doing well in a composition or on a map that, you know, is very much a Gale Force map. But we got to keep in mind, Gale Force has the Greymane Abathur Tyrael composition with an Uther, the new and improved Uther. It really doesn't do much until it hits 10, and then when it hits 10, it bodies. So I just, maybe not the most accurate representation of how this game is going to play out until 10 comes online. And really the fact that Gale Force is, you know, holding their own with an Abathur this early on, again, is a good thing for an Abathur composition. Probably a bigger win, you know, than that of bstep so far in this game.
Tyrael and Greymane have caught K1 Bros trying to get back in time. Thankfully, he still has that bell tower, which is getting low. And Equinox and Mike Udall would love to be able to take this out and get them 10. Heroic abilities now available for both teams. Nidus Network, Zagara.
Sappers on bottom, trying to be escorted here by bstep. So the Nidus to be able to, I want to see that with preparation for the Abathur to get that much more value, especially with the level 1 that Abathur took. Then I want to see the 13 going for the increased range again. You know, playing the standard Abathur on Towers of Doom, which is full control over those bell towers, making Dahaka really hate his life.
Oh, that time cap might just be enough to seal the deal and allow B-Step to get their sappers. That plus slowing Sands gets Gale Force eSports to go back. Fan has used the clone. Timeout!
Oh, the best part is that was 2 auto attacks. No way. They got to get this kill. I was like, that's free XP. I'd be picking that up all day. But anyways, just the fact that 2 auto attacks from Greymane clone pretty much chunked Chromie. Force the timeout shows how insane this composition can be. We do have the heroics online for both sides now, because these altars are going to be up. Chromie starting the channel on the mid altar. She gets it. 3 shots to the core of Gale Force. There's the judgment.
Mikeydo's there too. He's going to dive in along with it. Let's go for the throw. Bites down Malfurion, gets back out, retreating back to the safety of the team. Crone getting pushed away by K1 Pro, who's brush tucked in, dragging Zagara back to the team, but B-Step are split apart. iDream and McIntyre only just now coming into the team fight, trying to get out the damage. They do push back Gale Force from this altar.
Really good kiting there coming out from Crone, abusing that creep's movement speed to keep himself up, but this altar has not been captured yet. Gale Force is still using Abba to get the pressure up on the top lane. Clone's going to come out here down below. Sanctification, or excuse me, Judgment not up for 30 seconds. Only Divine Shield as they go in on the K1 Pro. There's the G-Shield used. Not the value they want. And losing Equinox, this might not work out for Gale Force eSports. They do get the pick.
Tychus went down. Twilight Dream, Michael Udall should go down here. K1 Pro takes the kill. Altar still available. But at least for Gale Force eSports, even though they did lose both of these altars, it was only 3 shots each.
But it did allow B-Step to get a lot of experience, and that is going to be crucial for them. But you are right. The Abathur soaking, pressuring out top the entire time, the fact that they have Zagara to get pressure on the map. B-Step need to do something with this, right? With this part of their when they get the wins after those fights, they really need to make sure they do anything and everything they can to be able to come back here in this game.
It's so cool, too, to see Crone immediately go to the top sappers, because a lot of times that's not necessarily the focus for sappers that you want to escort.
Yeah.
But in this case, because Abathur kept that lane so far pushed and Zagara's now there, too, it sent more resources for B-Step back to stop this from giving Gale Force eSports shots, and what that doesn't allow B-Step to do is take a bell tower of their own.
What Gale Force has with their composition, they have like 3 different routes they could have moved with it. Going into, obviously we talked a lot about the Death Ball composition they could have moved with. And then the split pushing Zagara moving into the Nidus Network to be able to prep things. Hold on a minute, this is an early Odin. Root's gonna be dropped. APM question if he wants to go for the Twilight Dream. That's gonna be up here in 4 more seconds.
Drag hits Akaface. Should go down. That's Uther giving time heals to his team, though.
Yeah, he'll be able to keep everybody up now. So just losing Uther, it's kind of like Greymane, or excuse me, Leoric, in the sense that when you lose Uther, it's about one of the best people that could die on your team. Helps everybody get out and, more importantly, heals them up. But if they're going to go Judgment and not Sanctification with this draft, it means they need a lot of follow-up bursts for the kill target. But they have an Abathur, and then they have just a Greymane with a go for the throat Judgment. He's going to get killed. Swift there, but it just, I feel like if they're going to go for the Judgment and the go for the throat composition, their other damage dealer for Gale Force, this global with Nidus Network, like obviously when they get picks like that, it looks good and it's working out, but Zagara drops so much into the team fight, and so does going into that Judgment, that I feel like they needed that damage dealer to be like a Hinterlands Blast, like just full erase them, right? It just feels like they've kind of gone like 3 different directions, but only committed 80% to every one of those directions with this draft now.
Right, because in game 1, B-Step were against a Lucio, who doesn't have cleanse to stop Judgment too.
But this should be a very play-aroundable composition for B-Step now that Judgment's picked. Like, it was terrifying. Now it's just your warrior goes in and stuns a single target, and that's who they're going to burst, which B-Step, now that they're post-13, Malfurion should legitimately never be hit by Judgment, because Judgment actually acts really funny because the symbol you see at first that goes around you is the indicator of who he's ulting, but then halfway through, if you lose the target that it's targeted onto, like
because
if they break fog,
block.
it just cancels it. Yeah, the ice block breaks it. So you can actually bait the Uther or the Tyrael in, and if you don't want them near you, you just ice block right away, and it just flat out cancels it for 10 seconds.
Well, where this has worked so far for Gale Force is they've been able to split apart B-Step. So maybe if they could keep B-Step split, trying to respond to all of the different split pressures on the battleground, because MyQDoll's here. K1 Pro is again underneath the fort, but Equinox is going for the judgment. Malfurion is not here to stop this. So as long as Gale Force keeps B-Step split, then they can keep getting picks just like this with it.
Yeah, that is a good point. And if they keep executing in this manner, it will be able to work out for them. But it's so strange to see an iconic composition that is like, it's not even that it's a composition that is like old school, right? It's more of like one that is held up. I mean, it legitimately won World Championships. It's dominated regions internationally. And for it to be innovative in this kind of like, it's not even that it's like adapting, right? Because I can totally understand that being like, what if we try this with Judgment? It's the fact that it's adapting, but then the weird variable, the Zagara, doesn't fill in the adaptation, which is single target burst. That's the confusing part for me. And it's not even that it's right or wrong. It's more of just that my brain and how it functions, what I've known in studying Heroes of the Storm, that is very counterintuitive. Good burrow coming out from K1 Pro. Can he get the drag? He does. And that is a kill. Uther going down once more. And not good time to lose Uther.
No, perfect time for B-Step. But again, they have had so much trouble with this top bell tower. So now B-Step has to make some hard decisions. They don't really have time to get back there. And they want to get as many altars as they can before Uther's back up. So if they did not get to bottom in time, that was out of the question. Zagara got down there first, so she will get 5 shots from that. One was picked up. Judgment comes in. Tychus in trouble. iDream Kite's back. It's not enough. Tychus kill. And B-Step trying to get this altar. There's a drag. Maybe they can try to turn this around with getting a kill on Crow and Zagara. Body blocks from K1 Pro.
They need this pick here so desperately. The slow Stormbolt lands, and can Crowin survive? Twilight Dream, Moonfire puts it down the drain. Equinox does barely make it out, though. So a kill still here for B-Step, where it's going to be even footing for 17 more seconds, and then 20 seconds where B-Step will actually have the upper hand.
B-Step has better health bars, though, and poke from Chromie. MyQDoll.
He's dead. Oh, he dodges that one. Delay coming out from Maka once more. Judgment's not up for 20 seconds. There's the Stonepolar. There's the drag. No root, and Divine Shield not needed, but it's going to be used. Bit of panic coming out from Gale Force eSports.
All this time, remember that Fan is in the bottom lane, happily pushing away Slug Life. For Fan is complete, pushing that bottom bell tower, trying to get where they have it 2 taken away from B-Step. And Gale Force eSports and having that top bell tower have stopped a lot of the shots that B-Step would get normally. But otherwise, a super close game in game number 3 between these two teams.
Yeah, it is an extremely close game. I'm sorry, I'm going to be honest. I'm a bit jarred by the fact that this is Judgment. I'm really torn on this Judgment. And not in the fact that it's like, oh man, why? I'm really just trying to understand the thought process behind it in this type of composition. Because it is a different game than when we once saw it before, right? It's not that when you pick these together that I feel like it has to go in that one direction. I'm just trying to figure out what did Gale Force see where they were like, this is a Judgment game, or is it every single time? They just think Benediction double stun. No interrupt on a Dwarf toss, though.
Yeah, but APM's here this time to keep kills, and it's King Caffeine. It's a different target. He was able to get Avatar out. Fan's going to use the clone and dive into the back line to push away iDream and APM. A Greymane clone always has to be dealt with. Greymane is terrifying in Worgen form because he has armor and he has the increased attack damage. You add to that what a clone already gives, which is 20% increased attack damage, and you must deal with it. That's why Greymane is one of the top clone targets.
Yeah, you really must respect the damage output that thing has, because, I mean, we showed a small sample of it. Just Chromie 2 auto attacks, 50% HP. The amplified damage there. Abathur still keeping the pressure out, being the problem that is the Slug onto this map. B-Step converting another bell tower back in their name, but they're still only going to be at 3 as this altar is up here down below. Experience is even. Positional advantage going over to Gale Force as they're going to start this channel. Let's see what happens.
B-Step gets to the altar in time. Zagara is doing what she can in the mid. Abathur is in the top lane as well. So lots of pressure and lots of soaking, trying to get Gale Force eSports to get ahead with their 20 talents before B-Step can pick up this altar.
McIntyre didn't get the channel there. Roaches are dropped. Burrow coming up from K1 Pro on to Crow, and Divine Shield even is going to be used to get him out of there. Mike Udall went in, but that means no safety tool now left for Udall. GFE down big resources here in this fight.
And now Odin is available to help with the poke. Equinox dives across the side of McIntyre and the rest of B-Step, but Twilight Dream hits him on his way there, and he is down. Does not explode on McIntyre. B-Step keeping control of these team fights now in the late game.
Full control over these team fights. They're going to be able to pick up 3 more shots, send them way over to GFE's base, setting their core health down to 13, getting the bell tower back. Mid bell tower is going to fall though, so B-Step is playing that panicked responsive game, but I just feel like it's not going to be enough. We're 19 minutes in this game, 6 shot, you know, the experience dead. Even B-Step just is winning these team fights flat out, and I don't know if Gale Force here with this game of, you know, cat and mouse that they've postured, I don't think like they got a big enough lead for that to be able to get them a win here in the late game.
And for the first time, they have to take a step back and take back one of their own bell towers, which gives so much time for B-Step to get back, to make it this an even fight over bell towers again, which has not been the case for a lot of this game. Stabilize is the word I was looking for.
It's going to be something we need here. Zagara is going to rid of the bottom bell tower, bring that thing back to life, send it to dead, and then it comes back to life. I don't really know. I feel like I should come up with a word for when it's converting back to your own team versus converting it.
Reset?
I guess, maybe. I feel like we can be way more creative than that.
I like converting.
I don't know.
So would you have liked to see B-Step try to take the sappers in bottom lane since they had both of the bell towers?
Yeah, what I would have, out of B-Step, I would like to see them just hyper focus on manipulating the movement of Gale Force, right? They don't need to win. They don't need to win the whole map. They've just got to win a part of it, and it's got to be the part where GFE is at. B-Step struggles whenever they cannot get a full 5-on-5 fight, and how do you do that? You do that by putting so much pressure onto the core, on towers at least, to where your opponent has to respect you, and that is only possible through the bottom lane. Judgment. That's what I was talking about when it comes to late game, if you want to choose the Malfurion.
It was Angel of Justice, so that's a reduced cooldown of Judgment, though.
And then force the ice block, so that was a winning trade for the Judgment.
One altar grabbed. 3 shots down, though, as dead. The bell tower before that.
Watch this. So that forced bolt, ice block's already down. When he comes back, 8 seconds, Equinox should just Judgment onto Malfurion if he shows at all in this fight. McIntyre throwing the damage over the wall. Body blocks around to Odin. ABM's there. Judgments goes over, but he hits a trap. Chromie gets the hit later on. Go for the throw. Gets the pick. Twilight Dream is used. And Udall is going to get that Divine Shield, go in the backline and kill the Tychus. 2-for-0 trade so far.
Akaface still
wants
keeping
to die.
Mike Udall alive.
He got it.
He's going to go down and he's healing. He's saving him.
He died.
Can he save both?
He did it.
Drag. This should still be Equinox's fate, but it's only 2 warriors and APM. B-Step can't take anyone down, and Equinox, Akaface is back.
That was, he's dead. Oh, Judgment, they're diving in. He's got Dwarf Thought. No way, dude, they're still going. They show no mercy over here. Gale Force goes hard.
Here we go. All 6 bell towers controlled by Gale Force eSports. How many shots do they get from this? 4 more to even things out. Still 12 seconds for Chromie and 16 for Tychus. These are the primary damage dealers of B-Step to try to damage and push back Gale Force eSports from defending these bell towers.
And Mike Udall can no longer skirmish there in the 1 versus 1. 10 shots left onto the core of B-Step. Dead even for both of the team's health. And 26 seconds still till the Tyrael is back. Finally, the bell tower converted, but Gale Force has found themselves 1 shot ahead on the core HP as they back out towards this boss.
Fan's going to be seen. Throws his hands up in the air and runs away. Checking on the boss. Gale Force eSports with that immense power play took control of the core health, and now B-Step, who were finally finding some sort of way of being able to potentially win their first game in this series. Now are down so many bell towers, they have to go back to the responsive game. We'll be relying on their late game team fighting once again.
Yeah, and I feel like B-Step was quickly reminded why you'd never focus Uther in that last fight there, because that would have been an even fight. A bit closer to even, at least, if the Uther had not ended up going down, especially with the redemption there. 5 shots are being channeled and shipped over to B-Step, sending their core to 4, but I guess what I'm trying to say is B-Step has a lot better chances in these late game team fights than maybe that last one had looked. It was just one minor, well, kind of major misplay when it comes to focus. See, that's the kind of stuff where it's just, you know, the outplay is real. The bait on the fight onto the bottom, posturing out. Gale Force eSports sending Equinox down there. They know the boss is going to be started. K1 Pro,
was just used.
adaptation.
K1 Pro sitting on the point. This is it.
They're going to make it. King Caffeine's there. Oh no, he doesn't have the dwarf toss. They get the shots and that's game. Gale Force eSports, clean sweep, 3-0.
Huge shout out to Equinox too, because he was delaying any more rotation to that boss, even used judgment from it.
I was more impressed by K1 Pro. The fact that they even got that burrow, I was like, wow, they're actually going to buy enough time. The dismount was pretty and the buying time, but this B-Step almost recovered, but they didn't. In the end, Gale Force 3-0, pretty clean. What was expected from them in this series. Not too crazy for the 2.0 patch. You know, we got weird, but only standard North America weird. We didn't get like really weird. You know what I mean? We're just getting way out of control with some of the picks or innovation and creativity. It just was very within what we've shown recently, what we're trying to venture out towards in terms of meta.
Right. It seemed like the biggest 2.0 benefit that we got was that we had Uther in drafts, and no Tassadar bans in draft. Not even showing his Protoss head in draft. But Uther was the big one, and I like what you say about what North America was already doing, because we were already playing Greymane Abathur, and Uther just lends to that, as you guys have seen at home, how well he can protect.
Zagara is another one that we saw in the earlier patch, 1.0, I guess, 1.9, whatever it was. In that era of heroes, we saw the Zagara coming out and being effective in the North American scene, and it's still only continuing to do so. So, you know, it just seems, yeah, like you said, we've got ourselves an Uther, which only enables a bit more of what we've already seen out of North America.
This is huge for Gale Force eSports. Taking that victory now puts them one step closer to maybe being able to claim the top spot in the league. It will be so hard, but being able to get that 3-0-2, even if they don't get the top spot, just having that momentum going into playoffs, as well as into their match versus Tempo Storm on Sunday.
Yeah, and that is going to be an absolutely amazing match. If you guys do not have that on your calendars, make sure you do, because the number 1 and 2 seed of North America going head-to-head. The series is going to mean an insane amount, I guess, depending on how things work out. But we are getting things ready for the interview for you guys.
We're ready for it.
We're ready for it, as I find my friend over here on the screen. I got distracted by him. I actually never get to see this monitor until the interview, so...
Hey, Mike. Congratulations. How are you guys feeling about the series over B-Step? Did you feel like it would be a 3-0, knowing that you guys were focused so much more on Tempo Storm and prep?
I mean, first off, I think we're all really happy. Like, GG's to B-Step, they're a really solid team. I think we had a better understanding of the meta, which, I mean, the patch came out a week ago, so that can go either way, just depending on who figures out the right thing. I definitely do think, I know in Equinox's interview, you said we didn't really prep for B-Step. I think, like, individually, everyone kind of viewed which match is the one they were focused on. And like for me, I was like, if we beat B-Step, we're going to beat Tempo Storm. So we pretty convincingly beat B-Step. I mean, because that's like my thing is like, we pretty much always show up to like our big matches, right? And like that Tempo Storm, like us kind of rivalry, like I'm not worried that people aren't going to show up. And this is the match where I was afraid that it would kind of get overshadowed and like, oh, we're playing Tempo on Sunday, we'll just kind of overlook this. So, I mean, I'm really happy by how like everyone performed. We played really well. I hope we're going to bring it on Sunday. So I'm excited.
Do you feel like you gave away too much of anything now, having to play, whereas Tempo Storm won't have to play and show anything on this new patch before you guys?
I mean, we didn't even show anything yet. They kept banning our Oriole, so didn't get around any of our double support. I mean, we have a lot of strats. Like, that's the thing, is that we just have a little endless bag. So it does kind of suck because they get to see some things, but I mean, we're not really that too worried about it. We have a lot of things that we have prepped, and we're excited.
That's good to hear.